Do you want to generate more organic traffic every month from Google? If so, you're in the right place. In this video, I'm going to walk you through step by step how to start doing search engine optimization the easy way to get you more position 1 rankings and start outranking the competition. And these same tactics and strategies have helped our clients increase their search traffic by more than 2,000% and skyrocket their revenue. So make sure you stick around to watch this one to the end, because if you miss one of these steps, it could limit the amount of traffic you are able to generate. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so the first thing we need to understand about SEO is that Google value relevancy more than anything. So they want to give people a great experience in search. If you can keep this at the forefront of your mind when you're trying to optimize your websites to rank in search engines, you will definitely be on the right track. To give you an example here, if I'm looking for accountants in London, let's say you run an accountancy practice and you have firms, you have locations, offices in a number of different locations across the UK. What you see a lot of companies doing is having a nice fancy homepage on their website where they list out all of the offices that they have. The problem with that is Google would much rather send me to a page. If I've just typed in accountants in London, they'd much rather send me to a page or a website that has a dedicated page about accountants in London versus sending me to a page where I have to look through that page and try to find out if they offer services in London or not. So now let's get into the process that I would be going through in order to get a website ranking in position 1 in Google. The first thing we're going to do is type in the actual term that we want to rank for in Google. So in this case, we're going to use accountant in London as an example. So you'll see this gets approximately 5,400 searches a month, which is a crazy amount. So if you imagine, even if we were to convert 10% of these visitors, that's potentially 540 leads a month organically we could be getting from Google just for this search term alone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down past the ad so you can see if it's an ad, because it says ad on the side of it. And I'm going to go to the first organic listing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this website, and I'm then going to look for a website a bit lower down to open that up as well. And I'm then going to open up the website in position 10 so we can actually look and compare the differences between these two to figure out why one is ranking in position 1 and why one's ranking position 10, and most importantly, what you can learn from that when you go through this process for your own business. Now it's worth saying here, when you're doing this initial competitor analysis, you want to ideally make sure that you're comparing your website to other websites that are doing the same thing as you. For example, you can see some of them here are actually directory sites like Vouched For, Best Companies. So these are listings of accountants. It's not really going to be that helpful for you to see that because it's a different type of website altogether. So it's going to be a completely different form of optimization. So when we're trying to learn from what works in our space, you want to make sure you're looking at other accountants or just businesses doing the same kind of thing as you, so that you know you're getting the most relevant comparison. So if we have a look at Fusion Accountants here, who are currently ranking number 1 for accountants in London, there's a few things these guys are doing really well here. So firstly, you'll notice just off the back of what I was saying earlier, these guys have got a dedicated page on their website for accountants in London. And you'll see here the heading on the page is Accountants in London. As we scroll down this page, you'll even see the subheadings include that same keyword. Specialist small business accountants in London. As your local London accountant, we can help you with the following. London office location. So they're really making it clear to Google by the use of these headings and subheadings what this page is about and who this page is for. Where if we go under services, they've got all the different types of services they offer, from all their tax services, capital gains tax, corporation tax, from statutory accounts, business planning services, cash flow management. So they're really not letting any of these search terms go underutilized, and what they're doing is they're giving themselves the ability to be able to rank for all of these different things that customers could be searching for. Whereas if they were to just put loads of bullet points on one page about all the services they offer, Google's not going to want to rank that, because again, it's creating a poor user experience. They've also done the same thing here with who we help. So they've got limited companies, startup, e-commerce, hotels, restaurant and bars. So for for example, if I own a Shopify store, there's a good chance I might go onto Google and type in Shopify accountants. So what they're doing is they're thinking about all of the potential things that a customer could be searching for in relation to their services, and they are creating pages for that, so to give themselves the ability to rank. This is why when we look at their traffic, they're getting approximately 33,000 visitors a month to their website because they have so many different keywords they are ranking for. You can see here they're ranking for over 10,000 keywords. Now, if we look at 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 here, who are in position 10, we can already start to see where they might be losing out from an on-page optimization perspective. So the first thing is they don't have that specificity of saying accountants in London. This page literally just says London. Now, Google generally is clever enough to know that this website overall is about accounting or accountancy services. However, they could have a very quick win just by making this more clear to Google through the on-page optimization itself by adding in the search term that they actually want to rank for. You'll also notice as we scroll down this page, they don't really have any use of subheadings mentioning accountants in London again, and it's actually a very, very short page in comparison when you compare it with the amount of content that Fusion Accountants have. So if we wanted to compete with Fusion Accountants and start ranking position 1 for this search term, we know that this is the kind of page that Google's value because they're already ranking them in position 1. So we want to model our website and our web page on this page. That doesn't mean we copy them, and you absolutely don't want to be copying them because that's going to get you in a whole nother world of pain entirely. But what we do want to do is be following a similar structure in the layout of their headings in terms of the approximate amount of content on that page. We know this is something that Google value, so we can do a similar thing for our search term. Now, it's also worth pointing out here, search intent is a very important piece. Google generally understand how users behave and what the search intent is behind a particular search term. So even if this page has, let's say, for example, 1,500 words, if you're trying to rank for a different search term, you may find that average position 1, 2, and 3 rankings for that only have 500 words. So actually, by doing a 2,000 word page, you could be doing more harm than good. So what you want to be doing is looking at what Google deemed to be the appropriate amount and type of content for a particular search term, and then modeling your page around that. If you're trying to reinvent the wheel or be clever and write a massive page to try and outrank your competitors, Google might end up thinking this is just overkill and not ranking it at all because they understand the intent of that search is people who are just looking for a small amount of information. So you always want to make sure you do your competitive research before you dive into trying to optimize your own website. Another thing to point out here is the use of the types of headings they are using. So if we have a look at this heading here, accountants in London, this is set as a H1 header. As we then come down and look at some of these subheadings, you'll see these are H2 headings. So really what this is doing, if you're not familiar with headings, headings help Google to understand the context of the page, and they look at this in an order of priority. So a H1 heading basically says to Google, this is what this page is about. This is the main topic of this page. The H1 heading will generally be the page title. H2 headings are the subtopics. So they're basically just helping to give Google more clarity and context as to what this page is about. You then have H3 and H4, which are like sub headings, but you don't really need to worry about those so much. I generally find that H1 and H2 headings are going to have the most significant impact on your SEO. However, it's really important that you only have one H1 heading, bearing in mind that's the main topic of the page. So by having multiple H1s, you can end up confusing Google as to what the page is actually supposed to be about. So let's say, for example, now that we're 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 and we've just updated our page, we've got lots of great content on there, properly optimized by the headings. We've got a similar amount of content as Fusion Accountants, but we're still not getting traction. The reason for this might be that Google simply deem Fusion accountants to be more authoritative of a page or of a domain than our website is. One of the best ways we can check this is to use an SEO tool. We often use either SEMrush or SE Ranking. Neil Patel's also got a free tool called Ubersuggest, which I'll link to down in the description below this video. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put in our 2 URLs into our SEO tool so we can see what Google might be seeing when they're trying to deem the authority of these 2 websites and pages. Now this isn't the only thing, but one of the main things that Google is going to use to deem the authority of your website is how many referring domains and backlinks you have coming to your site. So if we have a look at Fusion Accountants here, we'll see they've got 36 referring domains pointing back to them and 47 backlinks. So the reason their backlinks is higher than the amount of referring domains is because there may be a couple of websites that are linking out to them multiple times. That tends not to carry as much weight as an individual referring domain does in Google's eyes. So if we now have a look at 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻, you'll see here these guys have only got 27 referring domains. So they've actually got even more backlinks, but they've got less referring domains. So there's a good chance Google just isn't giving this as much weight and credibility because a lot of their backlinks are just coming from the same domain. Now, backlink in a nutshell is just when one website is linking back to your website. So what that shows Google is that you must be an authority in your space because other websites are talking about you and linking back to yours. Now, there's a number of ways of getting backlinks to your websites, but one of the best and most natural ways of doing this is just by doing networking and being active in your space. If you're doing interviews on podcasts, for example, you can ask them to link back to your website. Maybe you can do a guest blog post on a website in a similar industry as you with one of your referral partners or anybody else in your space. You could also look at arranging features in media publications, getting interviews in the press. All of these things will significantly help you to get more backlinks to your website from other high authority domains that are relevant to your industry. Now, it is important to note here as well, Google are really cracking down on the quality of backlinks these days, because you used to be able to buy backlinks in bulk from these services that would promise you thousands of links to your website and you maybe pay them 100 quid, 200 quid, but you really want to stay away from those now because they will end up doing a lot more harm than good, because a lot of those domains have been blacklisted in Google's eyes and you will be penalized for getting links from those kind of domains if Google believes that it may be spammy. So when you're doing link building, you want to make sure it's done in a way that feels natural and organic by doing things like podcasting, guest posts and stuff like that. So these are generally going to be the 2 main things. We'll usually either see that a website that's outranking another is generally either going to have better on-page content or it's got more links coming to that page. So either way, you now know and you have a rough direction in terms of what you need to do to increase your chances of ranking for that search term. Now, it's worth saying that link building can take time and it's not going to be an overnight fix. So one of the things you can do in the interim is build up some supporting articles on your own website to feed into the main page that we want to rank. So for example, if we look at 𝐻𝐻𝐻𝐻 again, let's say we've now got this page optimized. We're trying to get some more backlinks to the website to boost the authority. We could then start creating some blog posts that are relevant to accountants in London. So maybe it's people searching for things like, can I claim back the congestion charge through my business? Or how much are accountants in London? Anything to do with the page that we're looking to rank. If you can think about some questions people might be typing into Google, you can then start creating blog content on your website and then linking within that blog into the main page. You'll see an example of this on our website where we've got a blog post on how to create a customer avatar. We've got a section on how creating a customer avatar is going to be critical to almost every aspect of your marketing. And then we're linking out to the relevant pages on our website. For example, our paid traffic and PPC management page. Now, on the topic of blogs, this is another incredibly underestimated and underutilized way to start generating more organic traffic to your website from search engines. The CRM company HubSpot is a great example of this with their blog. They generate over 4.1 million visitors to their blog alone each and every month. And so instead of just thinking about how you can rank for the obvious search terms that people would be searching for, start thinking outside the box, because you will find it much easier to rank because a lot of your competitors aren't even thinking about this stuff. For example, one of our clients, a payroll software company, we recently got them ranked on position 1 for a blog called How to Switch Payroll Providers, which when you think about the intent behind that search is extremely high. So not only are we getting them in position 1 and getting them more traffic, but it's also traffic that has a very, very good chance of converting into a sale, because those people are actively looking for and thinking about changing their payroll provider. So think about some of the questions your potential customers would be asking that indicate they are in that buying mindset. If we look at some of the search terms that HubSpot are ranking here for in position 1, they've got all sorts of things from account-based marketing, about us page templates, acquisition marketing, advantages and disadvantages of spreadsheets, advertise blog, advertisements list, advertising campaigns. And then what they do is, again, they have specific blogs that are targeting that particular search term. So how to master writing advertorials, benefits of advertorial marketing. And then if we type in examples, you'll see they have a section on here, advertorial examples, which is why they're able to rank for that term, because they've also included it in their subheadings. Now, I'm going to be linking to another video coming up after this one that's going to walk you through step by step how to create blog content like this, and also just how to structure the on-page content on your website using headings properly in order to get the most traffic from search engines. So be sure to stick around for that video, and I'll see you there.